We are doing the best with what we have, and that's all we really can do. Because at the end of the day, we can only control what we can control, and all the things that are out of our control. If we're trying to manipulate those somehow, we're just going to get upset pretty quickly because we realize that's just out of our grasp a lot of the time. And we're just doing the best with what we've got, and what we've got is a new place. Well, not a new place. I'm actually back to where I was before I went to Wellington. So for all of you listening, hope you enjoyed my episode with Ezra that came out on last week. It was awesome. It was awesome to be interviewing again. I know that a lot of you love the solos and love just hearing my thoughts and where I would go with everything. But yeah, it was kind of nice to have a back and forth. I think that was the difference between that conversation versus some interviews that I've done, is that I actually, we were both expressing who we were and having back and forth conversation, as opposed to me feeling like I had to hold that space to get information out. He was just willing to talk, and he was such an articulate young fella. So definitely go check that interview out. It's really cool. It's just about the creative process and how we can't really put too much time on it, but then how also the need for for the economic wealth or for the economic gain of things, because things need to be done on time, and you need to be, thinking about being financially stable, how that all kind of comes into that creative process. So obviously we'd love to do what we're doing for free. And that's one of those, those old sayings that if you're he actually said it, if you're doing something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's true to an extent. But I think what came through in that one is that when you want to make it to the top and when you want to be a really, really good creative, a lot of that earlier stages of you trying to prove yourself, or you trying to get your portfolio or your skills or your craft up to a standard where people are going to want you, you're going to have to do a lot of heaps of little jobs to get that experience, but also to get that exposure, and also to get a portfolio together of work that you've done. And a lot of that is that freelancing work, which is basically what I do. I don't have a secure research job yet, but I'm on multiple grants, and it's just soft money, and it depends on who wants you to do different research at different times. So I'm pretty lucky that I've got 3 years sorted for me, but then after that, you want to be getting as many skills as you can in that 3 years before going forward. But I digress. We do what we do, and we do the best that we can with what we have at this moment. So you might look back in times and be like, shade, why didn't I just do that? Because back then you just didn't know, and that's fair. And we are here today. Thank you for riding with me. I ain't got you. Alrighty. Is that really the world we live in now? It's just one of those times where I guess everyone's in a rush. It was like what I was talking about just before. We need to get things done. That's just the way it is, and people are rushing to get everything done, and we're stressing so that we can live a really good life. And in that time, do we actually get the time to live a good life? It's hard to tell. I drove from my new crib. I haven't shown anyone that stuff yet because the owners who I live with, they bought the house, and they kind of haven't shown too much of the house yet, so I don't want to be that guy who ruins that opportunity for them, but also, eating the proverbial cheesecake that someone offers before they get the first bite. I don't want to do that. But as I was leaving, I was driving out. I kind of pulled out, went around this little cul-de-sac, drove down, and then I saw this car just zoom out of their driveway, and then they saw me, let me go past, and then they were just with me the whole time. So I saw how fast they came down after me. So I do my classic look in the rear view because I'm a good driver, right? I like to see where my hazards are. And this is more of a hazard because this lady was brushing her teeth while she was driving. That's the world we've gotten into. I kid you not. Checking that rear view, seeing her going ham just on her toothbrush in her mouth while driving, that's just where we're at. That's just where we're at. We can't even take that moment. But I may say, I have coached many an early morning class, and if you're listening to this, I'm not going directly at you. I'm going at most of the people who come to the early morning classes. No one brushes their teeth anyway. And then it's the worst because they come up to you and, you're going through CrossFit. So all these different movements, you're saying all these different things, and they come up to you and they're like, oh, is that a squat or regular? And everything. When people don't brush their teeth, their breath becomes so thick. And it's just, is that a, all of that up in your grill. So anyway, that happens. So yeah, I mean, good on her for brushing her teeth, but also not just the breath factor. As someone who has just been working on a paper for dental caries, which is the decaying of teeth. Awesome, well done, good on you. Awesome. I'd rather you do that. But then at the same time, could we find a way where you have that 2-minute period just before going out of the door to do that? But that's where we're at. That is where we are at. So we are back into the brain of Troy, someone who hasn't spoken to you all for about 2 weeks. And I've got a lot has happened, but I don't want to talk about it all. I kind of just want to go through a few things, few things. I said few things. Ooh. I just want to go through and just categorize a few of my thoughts just as overall themes. So this one has no direct theme, but then obviously I'm going to bring in topics as we go along. But this is just to resettle myself, just to reground and just to feel what it's like to talk to you all again. So the first thing is I love music. We all know that. I had a flight to come down, and you always forget that on your flight you need to only have, it's only the music that you download on Spotify. And I don't download on Spotify. I usually just go and listen to them, but I don't download them into a liked file. But somehow I'm subscribed to Ed Sheeran because I love Ed Sheeran. I'm not trying to make an excuse for myself oh yeah, my sister was using my phone and downloaded Ed Sheeran. I really like Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's new album came out called Equals, so obviously he's gone with plus, divide, multiply, equals. I think he did subtract. Did he do subtraction? No, I don't think so. That doesn't sound cool. But yeah, I listened to that album and I really liked it. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a different Ed Sheeran. It's a new phase of Ed Sheeran. It's someone talking about that transition in his life. And we're all going through the transitions in life, and I've spoken about this at least 76 times. But hearing him talk about his child, hearing him talking about his wife, and hearing him talk about his reflections on becoming one of the biggest stars after being this homeless kid into becoming one of the biggest stars in pop. It's amazing, and he seems so down to earth even through his music. He's still just talking about the things that used to give him a buzz, what gives him a buzz now. But even though he's been at the top and sold out Wembley, all those different things, the small things for him was still just being able to have a beer with people that he loves. And that's just a good reminder that you can be grounded with all of that stuff coming to you. So obviously I've been all up in the media and it's just been getting to my head. So it's almost similar. No, but it's not. But just the one thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to appreciating music, you can appreciate music from an artist that doesn't necessarily sound like that artist. I know a lot of people with the song Bad Habits and Shivers, they're just Ed Sheeran's a sellout, blah, 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 blah. If anything, it just shows his diversity and range of the music that he makes. So each album sounds so different, or it has elements of Ed Sheeran, which are just his classics. This is him, this is how he sings, these are the ranges he likes to sing in. But to be able to shift over time and be relevant with the music styles that are popular now over a 10-year period, that's phenomenal. That's talent. That's someone who reads what is popular. And obviously, so you can call him a sellout because of that, but still be really, really good at it. So the next time I think, and if you want to, listen to Jenny Mitchell's episode that we did together, because we spoke about how people would evolve their sounds over time. And that's just growth as an artist. If you're still sounding the same from your first album to your last album, or over a long, almost a decade, just a different era of music, then you're obviously not a very good artist, because, you can say that you're staying true to that underground sound, but you need to be growing as well. You need to be growing your repertoire of skills. You also need to be seeing what else works, because you might think that that's your sound, but until you try something else, maybe you might find something else. So anyway, that's just what I think. I love the album. Honorable mentions to, obviously, Shivers. Shivers, oh gosh, that gets stuck in my head all the time. It's stuck in my head right now. And I used to think that I didn't like Bad Habit, but if you listen to albums in their entirety, you can actually see where the song fits in, and then when it does come into the overall story of that album, yeah, I do like that song. In isolation, and obviously anything that gets really played on the radio, I'm not a big fan of, and I'm not one of those people who's just oh my gosh, I knew him before he was famous. But I think just the things that are popular, I don't like in terms of the sound and how it sounds. It's just so overproduced and electronic and poppy, and yeah, I do prefer the ones where he's more just kind of him and his guitar type stuff. But I'd love, lyrically, I think he's a genius. And no, I really enjoyed that album. Equals, he'll absolutely enjoy that I shouted this out for him so that all 7 of my listeners will go listen to it and help him with some revenue. So yeah, no, and it's looking healthy. So if you haven't watched his tiny desk, go and do that. Put it on in the background and just watch him perform. He just loves music. He loves family, loves music, and it really shows in this latest album. Cool. Switching gears now. So we're going to move over to the feels section here. And this is, gosh, I've said it so many times, but it always comes back because people. So I go to Wellington, and it's the best time of my life. Like, I'm busy, a lot is going on, but I have such an awesome support network. I have a bunch of people who just leave me be, and I'm unknown there. Well, unknown to a certain extent, where people don't know me for the work that I do, but they definitely know me for who I am. And people gave me the opportunity to be busy or not busy if they wanted to. So they're like, you can do this, no pressure. But why do people feel like, so here is a lesson. Okay, if you want to be on my good side, if you want to be on my good side, listen, you understand. Everyone here understands. I find it hard to say no to people, especially if I know that it will probably help them. That's just who I am. It's just part of me. It's one of those, it's the hardest thing that I have to do is say no, because I always feel like I'm letting people down. I always feel like I'm going to disappoint them. But the real thing is, I will disappoint them if I say yes and my heart's not 100% in it. And people who know me understand that, and they allow me that space to do that. But I won't bend over backwards just to give people what they want anymore. I've gotten to the point where I understand what's good for me and what's not good for me. And if that means that I just have to ignore people, block people, do stuff like that, like maybe, yes, they were part of my life at one point in my life, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they always have access to me, even though in that time I might have given them everything that they needed, and then we had time apart. You can't just come back in and expect that to be the way it is. I have had people who, this is in the workspace, this is in, not even in relationship spaces, this is just old friends who have seen me now, and they're like, I can see you online, and why are you not messaging me? Why I don't message you is because I don't fuck with you anymore. Like, I don't have time to talk to you about your problems. If you're only contacting me when you have problems, if you're only contacting me because you're bored, and I can see that in what you are saying, I don't want to talk to you, because that's not the energy that I have. I don't have the capacity to be able to deal with you, but also I find it hard to say no, so I will take that on, and it will ruin me in the process. I've told people that before. I've told people this all the time. So what I'm saying to all of us here is that we can be like that. Just because people think they have access to your time, what it's going to do is it's going to piss you off, because you just assume, you just feel like you're a bad person. And if these people put you on the spot saying, you don't care, oh, you only do this, you don't talk to me when I have problems, but it's only like blah, 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 you're selfish. They need to just think that person needs to have a really hard look at themselves. Now, you probably all are listening to me say this and just being like, yeah, that's pretty straightforward, right? You just let them go do their thing. When you get put in that position, especially as someone who wants to help everyone, and as someone who used to help everyone and got absolutely blown away because I just couldn't, not blown away in a good way, I mean like blown like to smithereens. It's difficult. It's really difficult. It feels like a point of contention, and people know that. People know that that's an inner dilemma that I have with myself, so they play on it. And that's why I'll just be like, oh yeah, he's so helpful. But then if I don't, because they say, oh, but your values and all that, like they really put me on, they really test me. But my values is for me to be a good person to myself. And I can't do that if I'm giving 100% of my time to every other person who has problems, because your boy has problems too. And I'm trying to look after myself. So yeah, that's how you can stay on my good side, is respect me, respect my time, respect my boundaries. And if I give you that time, be thankful for it in that moment. Unless we have a contract, unless I've signed a damn contract that says I need to report to you in these times, I don't owe you shit, right? I don't owe you jack shit. Unless we had a verbal agreement or something that this was how it was going to go down, you can't just assume that you have 100% access to me. And if I want time to myself, I can be online scrolling, looking at funny TikToks that people post on Instagram, even though TikTok has its own bloody app. I can scroll that and look at it peacefully. All right, don't put me on blast for being online and not talking to your ass. You should probably take that as a sign that I don't want to talk to your ass, right? We didn't have that agreement. Anyway, sorry, I'm sick of it. It's in my workplace. It's in everything. Just too many people assuming that they have access to my time. Don't ask for answers about why I haven't been talking to you. Just take it. I don't want to talk to you. I'll talk to you if I have time, but I haven't agreed to anything, and you don't have 100% access to me, and you can't guilt trip me. The reason why I'm saying this out loud is so that I can hear it again, because I will feel so guilty for not talking to these people. So if anyone else out there hears me, if anyone else out there is in the same predicament, just feel okay. You can politely tell people to fuck off. Sorry, you don't have to say fuck off, but you can politely tell people that you don't have time, or just you don't have to respond at all. Be the bigger person, because what has happened and what has happened in the past and what is kind of happening now, and it's really bad, is that there are just people who come in, and it frustrates me that they still think they have this, and then I go against everything that I'm about, and I say mean things because I'm coming from like a place of hurt, a place of darkness, and it just comes out, and that's no good for either of us. And then it makes me feel bad about myself, and then I feel bad for feeling bad, and then I end up like breaking what I promised to myself, because I just say, hey, shit, sorry, my bad, I shouldn't have said that. And then it flips onto this thing where like, I'm a bad person. Yeah, you're a bad person, you shouldn't have said those things. So really trying hard, and I have whittled it down to just knowing who my people are, and those are the people I'm still going to for counsel. And it was a really cool time in Wellington to talk with a couple of my close friends about it, and they just said, you've got people who don't really care about you, and they only care about themselves, and that means a lot. And that's not me being selfish, that's not me just using that as rationale to just ignore a bunch of people and ignore proper problems, but it is really just for me to start ascertaining what it is that I want to put my time towards, because I'm only this much of a person. I'm fucking jacked, I know that, but I've got a lot going on in this brain of mine, and if I'm using it with other people's problems, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere quick. But anyway, that took up more time than I wanted to. So we're going to switch gears. The first one is media. You would have seen that I was in the NZ Herald. So if you want to know a little bit more about me and why I ended up studying and why I did what I did, you can kind of go there and listen to it. You probably know most of it because you've listened to this podcast for so long. But in the New Zealand Herald, I was profiled to... why did I study? What am I doing now? They got a few things wrong. I haven't read the full things, but people have been sending me things like, wow, that's such an inspirational quote. And was it a quote? I don't know. I think I got words put in my mouth. This interview was interesting. I had one of those, would you say type of people. One of the, like, would you say, statement. And if I agreed with the statement, that's what I said. So that was funny. I saw some of the, like, one of the lines at the end was like, it gives students that X factor. When have you ever heard me say X factor? Never in my life, unless I said, are you watching X Factor on Friday? Or, who won X Factor? I don't think I've ever used the word X Factor to describe anything. So that's just your first thing. And it's the last line. That's the one where like people read the first couple, they'll go to the bottom, and then they'll be like, X Factor. That's that X Factor guy. So... yeah, that was a bit interesting, but it's cool to be profiled. It's cool to be out there showing that we're more than just, athletes. We're more than just good-looking people with long hair, long, luscious hair, must I say, with great physiques. We're doing other stuff too, and that's what I'm about, because I love my research. My research is my job, and that's where I got to, and that's kind of the drive that I had to get there. So a 9-year journey from undergrad to finishing a PhD to where I am now. It's kind of all in that 6 or 7 paragraph write-up in the NZ Herald. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Speaking of other media, my sister was in a documentary. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, my own Instagram, personal Instagram, there is a doco series coming out following people who turned 21 in 2021. So 2000s babies. I can't talk about it too much because I don't know what it's actually about. But I got to be interviewed on that with my sister. So we got to talk to my sister. So they just followed her story, and then they came to her 21st, and it was like we had a camera crew, and I just could not be part of live TV or anything like that because it's just so up in your face. We had this family heart-to-heart, which is like kind of cool because I talk to this all the time. But this time we were being asked questions, and it was like me, my dad, and my sister. And me and my dad kind of only started opening up recently, about just a few things. And I think it's more just because he's been listening to the podcast and seeing how everything works with me, and that's been cool. So we've connected on a few of those things. But in this, we had to talk about our connection to Te Ao Māori, how hard it was for me and my sister growing up, and my dad and her daughter growing up, because we, spent time in the Cook Islands, and my sister was there for the longest. She did most of her schooling over there. And just what it was like to, have that, and how was it that we rekindle that connection, and what are things that we should have said to each other just to let each other know we're okay. And I was just like, fuck, we haven't even done this as a family yet. Now you're telling us to do it with mics on, the big ass thing over the top that looks like when you paint the walls with that, one of those, but it's a big mic, so you've got this guy standing up there, just shoulders of doom. And then you've got like two cameras. You got one that's stationary, you got one that's panning and like coming up in your face, and you got a lady who's listening to everything we say. It was difficult. Like you just assume that because I talk into this all the time, I would be fine with it. But it's hard to not like look at the camera. It's hard to be in the moment because you're so focused on, what if I look like this? What happens if I look like that? And I've got the craziest eyes of all time. Like they just go everywhere. My head does weird stuff. I scrunch my face up. So all of that was in it. So if you're listening to my voice, you don't know that I do all of that. You don't know that my hands are just like absolutely going ham, and it looks like I'm doing a TikTok dance. But I think it was so beautiful. Because once we got comfortable, it was about an hour chat. Once we got comfortable, I said so many things to my sister that I haven't been able to say. Not because I haven't wanted to. Like, we have a really close relationship, and we're both, we do open up about a lot of things. But just, telling your siblings or telling people you love them, but telling them why you love them, and telling them just how proud you are of them, but properly proud of them. Not like proud of you. I actually mean like just seeing the woman she had become really did make me proud, and it was cool to just kind of reminisce and properly reflect on what it was like to be an older brother to my only younger sister. And it was really, really cool. And I talked about how we used to butt heads a lot because she just really wanted to make me proud and all that stuff, and I was just like, that's what it must be like to be a younger sibling. Like, I never really had an older mentor or anything in my life, so I always kind of just had to like set my own path, and it was kind of cool to just hear that from my sister. And that was cool. And then we had her 21st, of course, and it was nice because she had a family event, and we all dressed nice, and it all looked bloody cool. But the funny thing about this particular event is I hate 21st. So meeting up with friends and stuff, they need to text me here, and then I'll go out and know where they are. But when you have to go meet someone, you're like, oh yeah, I'll meet you, and you don't know if you're going to wait outside or if they're going to be inside already, if they know anyone. You kind of go to, like, my social anxiety, I think about these things way more than anyone else would. Like, what if people are watching me? So sometimes you go to a place and you're slightly early. I'll walk past the place, I'll walk around the block until someone comes out and they're like, oh, Troy, oh yeah, hey man, come in. And I won't tell them that I've actually been walking around the block that many times. I just need to be spotted so that someone can take me in. Because, like, what do you do? Do you go in? Do you go sit down? Do you, what if they say, oh yeah, sorry, nah, yeah, you can't wait in here? Like, there's just so many things, and I just think about every possible thing. So I need to spot that one person that I do know, and I'll gravitate towards them. So if that person isn't there, then I'll just, I'll just take the most weird interest in, like, the glass. The TV's on. I don't care what's on the TV. I'm watching that TV and I'm pretending that I fucking love whatever's on that TV just to avoid looking awkward, right? Thank goodness for the phone, for the telephone, for the cell phone, because now I can just pretend to look at emails, or I can just do stuff and just be on it, and it's fine because you're taken care of and no one has to worry about you. But in that moment, you're thinking, where the heck are these people? There are so many different things. So if you have those awkward things that you do, or if a baby comes in, or if a child comes in, I just pretend that that's all the conversation I have. It breaks it. I don't have to talk to these people. I don't know how to make small talk. I'll just talk to them about this baby. And be like, oh, hey, the baby did that. Oh, and then, like, you want the baby to fall over. You're like, ha, baby fell over. And you're like, I'm interested. I'm invested here. Don't take me anywhere else, please. I'm vested. That was a really long way of saying it was really cool that my sister had a family event as opposed to one of her friends, because the scariest part of all 21st is that you know the person, but that person has had so many lives. Like, they have their family, they have their friends, they have their sports friends, they have the blah, 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 blah. And if your friends aren't there, or if you only knew that person through like work or something and other workmates aren't there, you don't really know anyone and you just become a floater. And if you're not very sociable like I am, that can become really difficult. And you can't hang out with the star person because that star person wants to go hang out with all these other people as well. So that was good enough for me. I had my family there. I knew everyone, so I could just float to wherever I needed to because I knew everyone. And there were no awkward moments. But I'm pretty sure like that was the same with the wedding. We were the stars. We were the people in the middle, so everyone who wanted to come talk to us could come talk to us. Otherwise, we could just do our own thing, and I had my family there as well. So what are the awkward things you do? Just to pretend that you're fine in that moment. Like I have spent many a moment taking fake interest in whatever it is and anything around me. I become an art specialist. I'm like, oh, there's a painting on the wall. I'm going to go look at that. Oh, and I'll read the same passage of whatever is on that art multiple times just to make it look like I am engrossed in something so that no one else tries to talk to me. Sad life, but it's just the way I am. I don't know. I don't know why I do it. And then after it, I'll be with myself just reflecting like, oh man, lucky I did that. Oh, cool. Oh, did you see me talking to those people? Oh, I almost talked to this person. Like in my head, I'm like, wow, you were extremely sociable tonight. Be proud of yourself. So yeah, that was cool. And my sister's 21st was awesome. Her key was amazing. We had a live string band. The food was great. Beer was always good. And I'm really looking forward to just seeing her grow. So yeah, the last thing for anyone out here is just letting you know that I'm here. I'm back in Dunedin. I've been here for a few days. I got off the plane, came straight to work, and just got straight into it. I've got really cool things on the horizon. I've got research. My research is going well. We're publishing papers. We are going through and just making it work with what we've got because obviously a lot of New Zealand is still in lockdown. I have an awesome little crew of people that are like part of my crew, who I talk to and who understand who I am as a person, and they don't treat me different because of all of my anxieties and all that sort of stuff. They just kind of roll with it and they make jokes of it and stuff, and it's all fun. I've moved into my new home, so stuff's everywhere, but I'd rather have stuff cluttered in this new space with people that I like than being in a clean, tidy place of people that I don't like. So the aura is really nice. It feels great. I'm sleeping. I'm waking up just feeling revived every single day. And I was talking to my flatmates, people that I work with, and I just said, it feels like, so when you're on a getaway and you get an Airbnb, it's nice and refreshing. That's what it feels like in my new place right now because it's so new, it's so modern, it's clean, and it just feels like I'm in a getaway. Now, hopefully I can make it feel like that for an extended period of time, and I think it will because I really do like the people that I'm living with. Rugby training, so the first day that I got back, I went straight to rugby training that evening, so it's good to have something that I can anchor every week, just like this is what I'm doing, and then also get me better so that I feel like I'm ready for next season, so that I'm not thrown in the deep and expected to do stuff and letting the club down, just because they expected something from me and I couldn't quite deliver as I'd been out for so long. But I really enjoy it. I'm really enjoying it. It's given purpose to my training. It's given purpose to my eating. It's given purpose to just me as a person. And it's not one of those things where I'd say that rugby is everything to me, but it has become a huge part of who I am. And I've got a lot to carry me through. And I think that's reassuring for myself. Also reassuring to a lot of people. And I'm not sure if it's the new energy that I brought down with me, but at the end of the week, people were just commenting on the work that I've been doing. They just, it looks really cool. Like oh man, you've managed to pull that together really well. And just a lot of compliments, and I've really enjoyed that. And I'm not fishing for compliments or anything like that, but it is nice to be recognized after just working so hard. So if anyone's listening to this podcast, say something nice to someone, and you never know, you might spark that something in them. So that's where I'm at. Hope you managed to ride along with me. If there's anything that you want me to talk about next week, absolutely. My sister is down next week, so I'm going to take a bit of time with her as well. If you want me to interview her, for sure. Let's do it. But yeah, just get at me. Catch me outside. How about that? Love you all. Take care. Stay safe. Don't drink and drive, drink responsibly, and be a loving person. Thank you.